everybody? Welcome back to Dipped in Tone. I'm Rhett.
I'm Zach.
I'm Addison.
Nice. So we got another fun episode today. It's a long one. James Santiago is joining us for the sequel. James Santiago to the, what do we call it? Two James, two Santiago.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah, we'll get there. Don't worry about it. So we're gonna keep the intro short today, and yeah. But what's new with you guys? Quick and fast and in a hurry.
Oh man, Black Friday. I guess by the time, I don't know, Addison will know when this goes out probably better than me, but by the time this is out, it'll probably be that week.
It
right?
will.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So coming out this week is our new release, and it's going to be really dang cool.
Oh my God.
It's something we've never made before. It's all like, I spent a while scouring the internet to get new old stock like Allen Bradley carbon comp resistors and stuff, because that's, welcome to Zach. And it's exciting, but other than that, just building pedals and slinging gear. We got some big high voltage news that we can't share yet, but it's going to be good. We're excited,
Dude. Why is it already December?
Yeah, bro. We're halfway through November. Thanksgiving's next week. It's crazy.
I didn't, in my head, literally this was still like first week of November in my head, and I just looked at my calendar and I'm like, I don't want to say what day we're recording this on because it kind of ruins the vibe, but it's, oh my God. Okay. Addison.
all the time I think, Halloween's like next week, right?
Oh my God.
Anyway.
Man, my week has been great. I went and saw Dijon this week with Beck.
Oh, how was that?
No joke. It was one of the coolest Sonic experiences I have ever experienced live. It was
sick.
So incredible.
To look this person up.
Yeah. I don't know that you'd like his music. You might. So McGee and him have done a lot together. They produced a couple songs on like Bon Iver's record, and then on
pronounced Bon Iver.
Bon Iver, sorry, my bad. And then on Justin Bieber's latest, I think each of them were involved in some way in a song or two. Anyways, I don't know the details there. But we went to, when was it? It would have been Monday night. It was incredible. Front of House was actually in stereo. He had which it was at Marathon Music Works, so not a huge venue. Great venue. Yeah, it was awesome. But things were happening. He had this guy, so his band was really cool. He had this dude kind of off in the back who was like mixing vocal effects and throws and samples like in real time. It was incredible to watch. He had a guitar player doing wild stuff, a bass player. His drummer played an electric kit with like the most epic 80s samples, and then had like real cymbals. Was so cool. There
like
was
Lynn drum samples and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was so cool. Yeah, or just like big, like like pop 80s, like cool, massive drums,
rototoms and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. He had 3 background vocalists, and then do you guys know Russ Paul? I think is his name. He's a pedal steel player. He was like the special guest that night. He sat in and like played pedal steel on Dijon's stuff. It was wild. And there was like a couple moments where he was like, "Take it away, man." So he'd like take this pedal steel solo in the middle of this like 80s hip hop kind of like, I don't even know how to describe his music, but I could go on. We were just enamored with him. It was beautiful. And his voice live sounds just like the record. I mean, he is perfect live. I don't know how people don't know him. How he's not bigger.
Have you guys ever been around people talking about stuff that you have no idea what they're talking about? And you're like, what?
Yeah. All my family and everybody is all into like football and sports and stuff. And listening to like my dad and some other dude like talk about football, I'm like, how does anybody know about this? Like, why do you know people's names and they're like, what their stats? It's so weird.
Yes. Don't get me started. I once at a family function, real quick, like Mythos was like taken off, and my dad was like the proudest he'd ever been of me in that moment, and we were at a big family thing, and one of my uncles was there, and he was obsessed with this kid that got on like The Voice or something, who was from like Cookeville or Sparta, like a town close to where I grew up, and it's all he was talking about. And Dad's like, yeah, Zach's like selling pedals all over the world. It's like he's making all sorts of money. It's like, it's doing great. And he's like feeding his family and taking care of people. And this guy only wanted to talk about this one dude that was like on The Voice. And it's like, who cares? Like, you don't know that guy. It's so strange.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's like our family. I have family members in South Carolina that are like that. I'm like, have you been watching The Voice? Have you know so and so's on The Voice? Like, no. Oh, you know that singer you play with? He should go on The Voice. Like, no,
that's
he
the
shouldn't.
worst.
He
should go on Shark Tank.
That's
like,
no, you shouldn't do that. It's horrible. It's a dumb idea.
Read a book. Leave me alone.
Well, Zach, Dijon is a mustard. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, I know
right
what
now,
that
so,
is.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Pardon me. Do you have any Grey Poupon?
What about you, Rhett?
Man, I saw a cool show actually too. Went and saw Justice. Do you know them?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
no,
man. Okay, so I went with Tilly and Tyler from the Midnight and his wife Anna. We went, and I'm kind of new to this world, but it's like the French touch sort of EDM kind of. They're like big, blowing up at the same time in the early 2000s. Like Daft Punk was, blown up. Two French guys. One of the coolest shows I've ever seen. I've never truly been to like an EDM dance kind of show before. The lighting, like that show was as much about the lighting director as it was the two guys on stage and the music. And it was such a vibe. It was so cool. I totally get it. For a long time, I was that type of guitar player that would just kind of shit on EDM or any of that stuff. Like, oh, they're just playing their laptop or whatever. It's like, dude, that's not what it's about. Like, if you go to one of those shows, it's just a different concept. It's a different thing than seeing a band live. It's about like, just the music is much more primal and like repetitive, and it like gets into your, like it activates something in like your deep lizard brain or whatever. And it's about like, just, I don't know. It's a different thing, and the lights and the whole thing. And it's like, I totally understand why people take drugs and go to these shows and see it. It was awesome. It was so much fun.
Did they play Stress?
Yeah, they did.
The most aptly named song of all time.
Yeah. And there was a couple moments too where they went into this like hard techno stuff, and the kick drum was the sharpest, hardest, most metallic, visceral sounding thing. Like it elicited the same kind of feeling I have listening to like a super heavy like metal or hardcore band. Like just hearing just the kick drum, it was so gnarly. It was awesome. Huge fan. Good time.
Great.
Okay, cool. So we're going to skip a hot take this week, right? Because we're going to get into our conversation with James. But before we do that, we want to thank the sponsor of today's episode, which is Universal Audio. And they've got a new interface dropping, the Volt 876, which actually looks really cool. This is a 1U rack mountable 8-input audio interface. Man, honestly, my favorite thing about it that I can point out is the fact that it's got MIDI I/O, which the Apollos don't have. Which, if you're playing with synths and all the stuff that I've been playing with recently, this is a nice feature here. So, yeah,
it looks great. Currently, at launch, it's $9.99, and for like that much, like that many inputs, and it's just USB-C. I mean, like it's awesome.
It's pretty good, man. And we both use the smaller volts. Like I've got the 476 that I use when I'm traveling on the road. And I like the fact that there's the 1176 compressor and then the vintage mode, which is kind of, I think, going for like a 1073 mic preamp, but they're just buttons and you've got different settings and it's really easy. All three settings sound good. You just pick your flavor and go. You don't have to worry about like pulling up the plugins and tweaking settings and dialing in all that kind of stuff. Like it's just turn it on. There's not a bad sound in the box and you just go. So yeah, USB-C, easy. I actually might try and pick one of these up just to have. It's like another sort of like float around extra 8 channels, get it into my laptop kind of thing. Yeah.
If this had been available to me, and this is like circling like back, well, kind of to the conversation we had with James that you guys will hear. If this had been available to me as like an early 20-something-year-old, I would have been able to do so much more in like making the music I wanted to make. Cause it just like, it was not at all attainable.
Dude, I know.
So now there it is.
Here it is. Line outs on the back, really easy if you want to start patching in like some of your pedals, some outboard effects, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's got optical, what is that? 2 optical ins and outs. You could over 8 expand this thing up to another 16 channels of audio. I mean, damn, dude.
Yeah. So we are partnering with UA on this, and we're going to give one away. So down in the description box or show notes, you can click that link and sign up to get one.
Yeah, go get you one. Okay, thanks to UA for sponsoring today's episode. Let's get into talking to James. James, welcome back, dude. We had so much fun with you the last time we decided to bring you back. I think this should become a pretty regular thing.
That's if I learn how to use my laptop better. Because we spent just to be honest with everybody, it's in the world of digital, it's you have to figure out how to get all these mics going and get rid of buzzes and cell phones sitting next to guitar pickups and microphones. And I would love to, and I'm sure there's probably some. I don't know if there's any angry requests. Were there any questions from last time that came in later that I didn't clarify? Or I'm not sure I even answered everything correctly anyway. So I'm here for a redo. And I think once somebody did say, "Dude, you went on the thing. You didn't dip a rig." I think that's the one thing somebody had mentioned.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that for sure today. This is James Santiago 2, The Reckoning.
The payback. Yeah.
The payback.
Big payback.
Oh man, where are you today? This is a different studio.
So where I'm actually at is there are two places I go. I have at our house, which is basically a overrun storage and studio and R&D facility. Thanks to my wife who lets me get away with that kind of crap, because she is a musician as well. So half of that stuff is her crap as well. So between the B3s and Rhodes and baritones and clarinets and flutes and all of her tools, I have stuff there. But a few years ago, it's probably been 3+ years, I've had a secret hideout in Van Nuys, California, which is the home of Sound City. So I'm actually at the Sound City a lot today at my secret R&D control room, and a lot of stuff things in this room I could show you, but like behind this computer is the original Studer 24-track that did Nirvana and Tom Petty. So that's literally behind me here. Most of my development, in fact, almost all of the development I did for Enigmatic and the Sound City plugin were done in this secret studio on the lot. So,
that's insane, dude.
Yeah. So outside my door here is that parking lot that used to flood. If you ever watched the movie,
yeah.
Right? It's like about the flooding parking lot. In the door to the main studio is just right here next to me. Here,
that's so crazy, man. The history in that building is insane because before it was Sound City, it was JMI, right? Where Vox production was.
Well, funny enough, during the development, and in case people don't know, because it's not a guitar thing, even though it is, it's. As I got here and started going through the archives and the storage lockers of the studio that from like late 60s, I did run across with Sandy, who owns this place. The family's owned it forever. And she's like, "Oh yeah, it used to be a Vox showroom essentially, and did some stuff. And if we just go, we might as well go because anyone's ever talked about this. Van Nuys used to be called Sepulveda, California. So if you look at the bottom of some of the Thomas Organ Wah-Wahs, you'll see a city listed that doesn't say Van Nuys or Los Angeles. It actually is called Sepulveda.
Oh.
And that city was... do you have one that says Sepulveda?
Oh, no.
Damn.
Chicago.
Chicago. Okay. So some of them... That's probably an actual one. Yeah. Sometimes you'll see this Sepulveda, California thing. So Vox had this here. And if you really want to get nerdy, about 6 minutes to the left here off of Roscoe Boulevard, there's also a street called Havenhurst, and Havenhurst had the giant Thomas Organ headquarters there.
Right.
So if you look up like Thomas Organ, Havenhurst, you'll see this giant corporation. Then they knocked it down, and now it's Van Nuys Private Airport. So if you're a rock star, you use this little area of that little airport strip that used to be by Havenhurst. So they originally, I'm gonna debunk a few myths that actually in the Sound City movie they said, well, no one designed it. Actually a lie. That nobody ever really researched. The studio owners knew this. When they bought it from the Vox company. Vox had installed studio as a showroom and studio.
Got it.
So somebody at Vox is the person who did that layout, because that room is actually not square. Everyone says, "Oh, it's just a square box." It's not. It's actually curves. And I figured that when I was doing the design with my work buddies, to shoot that room modeling, we looked at the plans and we used LiDAR stuff. Mm-hmm. You can take your phone and LiDAR a room. I LiDAR'd the whole thing and I realized, like, holy crap, there is a curve to it. And the control room does this and it's not square. And somebody put some thought in that room, and it was absolutely the Vox company.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, and then I found a 1-inch 8-track tape that still had in the lockers, and no one's seen since 1969. Right before it turned into Sound City, it says Fox Corporation Recording Studio on the box label. So there you go. There's some weird rabbit hole of classic studio LA rock kind of stuff, and
yeah. Well, no, it's a good segue, because today we wanted to talk to you about a couple of things, but primarily recording guitars at home, because obviously now you don't have to go into a recording studio, you don't have to go to Sound City to get great guitar sounds at home. But I feel like, at least from my perspective, in the years that I've been making YouTube videos and stuff on the internet, I get a lot of questions from all types of people around the idea of recording guitar at home, because especially if you're starting out, it can be daunting and overwhelming, and all kinds of limitations and stuff like that. So I guess to start, like, give us some of your background here in the context of recording guitars, either at home or in studios.
Yeah. I think, to be honest, there's a weird thing I'm seeing now where, in fact, actually, on the floor in front of the storage table is a Fostex box for a 4-track, which reminds me of when I was a kid and everything was on a cassette tape, and if you were fancy, you had one that ran at double speed. Of the normal. But if I should step back for that, it's funny. Once I looked over here, so this is gonna get weird for a second, because I was pretty young. I was maybe 14, and a neighbor had a 4-track Tascam. I'm sorry, TIAC. And if you ever watch videos of like Peter Gabriel and some people in the 70s, they had these really cool looking 4-track 1/4-inch TIAC open reel machines. And when I was a kid in the 80s, this neighbor had one. It was in a band. And I was just dying to record my guitar. I wanted to record something. And this neighbor had in his closet a busted up Ricky bass and this 4-track. He's like, well, you can try it. So I carried this giant thing to my house and figured out how to take this little drum machine and start recording guitar. Now, the next problem was I had no mic. I had a Radio Shack microphone that had a little switch. It's like for PA announcements at soccer games or some other crap. So it's like, okay, well, I have this little crappy PV amp, but now I've got this 4-track. What do I do with this? And so you plug your guitar straight into a tape machine, and it's kind of not fun. And so that was the next problem. Well, how do I get the sound that's coming out of my amp into here? And then some of those actually did have mic inputs, so you can kind of do that. And then the next layer of hell happened to me, which is right in the 80s is where you started seeing stuff. The first amp I scraped up to buy was called a Gallagher-Kruger 250 ML. And that actually had a direct out on the back of it. And it did some sort of light cabinet modeling, which was pretty terrible. But now I had a borrowed drum machine from the band I was working with, and then this 4-track, and this thing I could just get distortion sounds and put on the chorus and the crappy echo. It sounded like a nicer rock band, honestly. And if anyone goes on, I don't know if anyone remembers those things. They look like a lunchbox. And it was like 100 watts, and like Alex Lifeson had one. A few people were carrying them around. And, it wasn't the 100-watt stack I asked for Christmas. But, it wasn't going to happen. So, yeah, so that's where it started for me. And then, honestly, because the only thing there was at the time was, you read guitar player talking about, I went to this great studio and had all these mics. And so my learning experience moved from that to an actual which I think everyone started using these 4-track cassette, like the 224, all these Fostex things, and having 4-track on cassette. Then I would bounce from the 1/4-inch open reel to the 4-track and then go back and forth. And at least at that point, all my brain was going, man, it would be so cool if the quality got better, because you lose all these generations, and especially if you're demoing stuff alone by yourself. And even recording, I used to record my band. I would take this machine to gigs and try to tap off the mixer that had all the vocals and keys and put a mic over the drums. So that was through my teens. So I was just kind of struggling to figure out how to do this on a zero budget with a high schooler's, Taco Bell income, sweeping floors at my grandmother's grocery store, the all $42 I made over the weekend, So it's that just tells you there's the struggle part. And then eventually as I worked with better bands, it's like, oh, holy crap. By 17 or 18, I had a rack rig. I had financed to the hilt with all this fancy crap in it and all the ADA and MIDI controllers and Roland delays, SPX 90s, all this crap in there. And then I started seeing a little bit of okay, this is going TMI. Again, by 17, I started going into professional studios. And the first one, actually, I walked into had a Synclavier system in it. Mm-hmm. Those big, giant keyboard things. It was up in Stockton, California. Not a place you want to spend too much time in, by the way. Just throwing that out there. I'm from Tracy, which is a Central Valley area. This was not the fancy Bay Area. But they had a 2-inch machine, big console, this Synclavier thing, and and I get in with all my crap, and they go, "Oh no, we got these fancy. Take a DI out of your amp, put a mic on it," and then you start realizing, oh man, what hit me more was paying that much money an hour on somebody else's dime, and having my crap together, and feeling like, oh man, I really need to come in here next time really more prepared. So the weird thing was, as it got better and better, the environments I was in, I started feeling the pressure to be a better and better player. So it was two things together, the gear, but then the playing, because almost nobody cared how shitty my tone was back then. They just wanted to go like, dude, you're at take 3. Are you going to do this all day? Can you move on? Because we got drum overdubs to do, and the singers haven't come in yet. We got to I started feeling that.
Yeah.
So that scared the crap out of me more than the technology did. I don't know if that's even a left or right turn now, because I think at some point, if you're at home and you finally get a little 4-track, you're not worried about it because you're not on somebody else's dime. You didn't finance a car to go into some studio for $1,200 a day. So, and I think most of those days are gone, which is probably why we're able to be at home now. And again, I financed a lot of that crap and got one of the first digital recorders on a computer, which is only 2 tracks on a giant SCSI hard drive. And I thought that was a miracle. Like, holy crap, I can get things into digital, not lose, generations of stuff. And I had a DAT machine and a very early CD burner.
Yeah.
Which when the blank CDs used to cost $5 to $10 a disc. And I'm just taking every bit of gig money I had to buy these blank discs, and the hard drive itself was only 1 gig, which could only hold a couple of songs or 1 CD at a time. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I've gone through all of that pain, and I do remember taking my SPX 90s and some of that rack gear and selling it to buy that computer to learn how to do disc recording on a Windows 3.1 machine and a very early Windows stuff on a Turtle Beach sound card. Because I never get rid of gear. I think any one of us gets gear and like, oh, I'm hoarding this crap. I'm taking it with me. But certain things I did let go over the years to learn. And this is where I'm going to jump to the positive part of this is by the time I got to LA, because I had done all that on my own, learned MIDI programming, all of this stuff, and got into that. By the time I got to LA in the late 90s and Pro Tools was actually a thing, I was one of the only people that actually could run a computer. I actually learned all my computer skills and how to edit audio and had a home rig. So if someone's like, man, how do you do this at home? I'm like, oh, I'm already doing stuff. So I got way more gigs in the 2000s doing film and television work, recording guitars at night, because they're like, do we need to send to a studio? I'm like, no, just send it to me. I have a full rig at home, digital audio workstation.
Wow.
You have to messenger the files because they were still too big. There was no internet, wasn't fast enough. But I could do the whole thing at night and send them back 2 tracks. And it was amazing how much work I got just from being an early adopter of those technologies. And again, it was something that you couldn't have done in overnight. It's just because I learned all these weird skills that most of my guitar buddies were, like, why are you getting that stupid computer thing? Or getting an AOL account just to get on a 26, whatever, the Bode modem, just on a crappy thing. Yeah, I went there because it gave me the ability to also learn more, to get other skills. I wanted to record so badly. My whole dream as a kid was just to have a studio filled with a drum set, basses, guitar, just record all day long. That was really where I wanted. I didn't care about being famous or getting it. I just wanted to record stuff and play music with my buddies. That's
awesome, man.
So the recording thing is very deep inside of me of wanting to pick up a guitar and know that you could just get these sounds translated. So there's more to the story, but I've seen all of those stages, at least for me, from the 80s on.
Okay, so things have changed a lot over the years, from when you started out recording in the 80s as a kid and in high school to now, where you don't even really have to have an amp or microphones or any of that stuff. But sort of take us through, your preferred way of recording guitars at home. Let's say someone does have an amp. They got a 100-watt Marshall at home, and they want to start recording. What should they do?
Okay, so what I did, and we're still in the same house about 12 years ago. The room where we have all our gear in, there was a little storage room next to it across the wall. So being the idiot that I am, thinking, man, if I could just get a mic cable and a long speaker line under the house into that room, then I could put the cabinets over there and then still be in our house, and I could kind of try to close off that area. So the last version of that, my home rig was still using a stack of 100-watt Marshalls and 50-watt Marshalls and Fenders. And I had put a whole bunch of speaker ties under the house and kind of come up in the back, plus like 4 mic lines. And the back part of our house, again, which was like where you have to imagine this part of the house, it goes the length of the house. So it's a really long, 50 feet or something deep. It's long, narrow, basically giant storage area. And so at one point you've got the laundry room, you've got road cases and my wife's stuff, my stuff, Christmas crap and boxes. And then the other half of it was a bunch of 412 cabs with microphones everywhere on it that would just, certain hours of the day, I would just use the amps on 7 and I would record them that way. And that was my last version of trying to get the sound I wanted out of the amp at home because I didn't like master volumes on amps. And so this is going to go really, this is going to be interesting. I'm not sure we've ever told it like this. That last rig was when I got a phone call from a friend named Greg Westall. He's like, hey, I want to send this guy Bill Putnam to your house. He wants to meet you. And actually, one of the early times Bill came over with Dr. Dave Berners from Stanford, and I didn't know this. They're just like, well, can we see your guitar setup? Because everyone's told me to talk to you about some stuff. And so, well, yeah, well, I have this big giant console. It's not here, it's still at the house. 16-channel console I got from this guy from Beck. Not Jeff, the other Beck. So I had this big console, analog console, and the Marshall heads were sitting there and this big Pro Tools farm card TDM system in the racks. And how are you getting that sound? And because I was just playing, you could hear the speaker cone cry baker up and all that stuff. I'm like, oh, if open that door, those amps are plugged into the cabs and they're firing at full volume. The mic lines are just coming back in here in this house. He's like, holy crap. And I told him something that I think made his mind go, huh. And I said, look, I it's not that I want to be that loud, but there's a certain tone these amps have that I need to get the volume up, not for volume's sake, but for just the sound of the amp and the way the circuit works. Plus, these speakers don't sound the same when they're played at half a watt and then when they're getting pummeled by a 150-watt transient and a 100-watt amp. And I played him a bunch of stuff, and I had room mics in there too, some distance things. And he's like, oh, holy crap, because in the room, all you saw were the amp heads and the recording system. You didn't see the cabs. And that's when I got a call a bit later, like, hey, I think we could design something for people recording at home where they could use their tube amps and have the sound of the cabs in the room. So it became a weird full circle moment of, hey, we got this project we think you'd be really good for. And that's how Ox started, actually. Was that last iteration of 100-watt amps in a home, because I just wanted to do all these recordings with the real gear. And that's not to say I didn't like digital. I had at the time I had very early fractals and all the early Line 6 stuff, which I had some of it I had worked on before, and Avid's it was called 11. I worked on some of that stuff, and so they were all tools. But when you sit there and just play a Les Paul or a Strat and a Marshall on 7 with like a fuzz pedal, it's like I'm done. I'm cool. That's kind of all I wanted. So that's I'm skipping a whole bunch of stuff in between. So that was the hard part for me. Was like I wanted that sound and that to come out the speakers, and that's not to say that I didn't have problems between that, because on other people's sessions I was never happy where they put the microphone, what microphone they used, the headphone mix. I hate playing and hearing my guitar in headphones because just the headphones you're playing through could screw with the mid range. It doesn't sound as full. You don't get any low mid range out of headphones typically. So I always had these problems of, well, it's not my gig, and playing for somebody else, and I guess that's the crappy way that amp's going to sound on that track. And so that's not. I'm not trying to be a control freak, but I hate to say it. It's a bummer that there are not more studios around, but it's also great that you could pretty much stay home and probably get the greatest sound you've ever heard if you've got the right tools that work for your playing. Whether that is let's say, I think I just saw this, whether it's a Helix Stadium or a Dream pedal or an Enigmatic pedal or a plug-in that does something weird. So I'm all for whatever, gets us to pick up a guitar at least, because even 15 years ago, we're thinking, man, is the world just going to be full of DJs? Are people going to stop playing guitar? Every so many years, it keeps coming back like, nobody's buying guitars. Everyone just wants to be a DJ. Like, okay, can't we still do both somehow, And I know, does that sound weird? I don't because I know we're going through another phase of companies struggling to stay alive and sell pedals and amps and guitars. It's a weird time again,
It absolutely is. I mean, for like the pedal and the analog world, I guess. I don't think it's as in vogue, to spend a lot of money on pedals. You see it a lot, pedals fluctuating in popularity because, there's so many people that I was speaking to a colleague of mine, and I said, the majority of guitar players spend as much time looking at screens as they do a fretboard these days. And that's kind of like the world we live in currently, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going anywhere, man. I mean, guitar always finds its way into the next generation through different players or musicians or through pop culture moments or whatever. And it's just something that people, need to do. And it's something that will find. I actually think if you looked at like the numbers, the amount of people playing guitar and interested in it today, it's probably more popular by that metric than it's ever been. But being in our industry, we see the numbers and we see the P&L statements or whatever from these companies and the bigger guitar makers panicking because they've made too many guitars and they can't sell them. But that doesn't represent the popularity of the instrument overall. It just represents quarter by quarter metrics of sales and everything, which I think are two very different things.
Yeah. So circling back to like the recording journey, I know for me when I was starting out, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that have never put a mic on an amp at all. Right. James, how would you because now the world's your oyster, right? You can get the fantastic equipment to interface with your computers or your phone or whatever you need to make these recordings happen, but it's still on somebody to get that sound into your Apollo or your Volt or whatever it is that you're using. So how do you think a layman or someone who has no experience should start trying to approach recording guitar at home? Maybe not 100-watt Marshalls, but whatever they have that's a little bit more, maybe, starting out their beginner rig. How can you approach recording it?
Okay, so we're going to go down a really scary rabbit hole for a second, which is, I think the what we think our guitar sounds like as a player and what the guitar actually sounds like properly mic'd and coming through studio monitors. Mm-hmm. Yes, I think for any one of us let's just take the world's easiest amp, a deluxe reverb. You plug into a deluxe, and then you might stand 3 or 4 feet this way, off axis of the speaker, and that's what you're used to that amp sounding like. Which is not the same as taking a microphone and putting it 1 inch away from the center of that magnet inside the thing, and which is basically a razor blade pile of high end and directness that has no body. You don't hear the cabinet. You don't hear all this woolly softness coming off the back wall and filling the room. So that's the real disconnect, and I had that disconnect first time I started going to those studios where the direct out actually was a good thing for me early on because that was just right here. So I kind of got used to hearing that 80s direct out for a little bit until I got into a 17, real Marshall head. And then, this battle being like, why does the Marshall sound so good in the room when I'm playing with my band? And they put this 57 on it, and I hear it back, and it sounds like it's this big. What the hell happened to my sound, dude? And then you realize, like, well, it's the room. There's I don't care how big your cabin is and what kind of plywood or birch wood and ply and the way the back is. Oh, it's not this, and that's not going to translate unless you figure out how to mic it and how to get that to translate through a set of speakers. So that's the first problem I had, was doing some homework and going, well, I've got a 57. They weren't expensive then, under $100. And then you start realizing, man, if I just sit here and move this mic half an inch this way, it's a big difference this way, this way, this way. And I just sort of, you make a map of like, oh man, if I want to warm this tone up, I just pull it back a little bit and point it that way. And you start to learn basically the ingredients to recording guitar. And this got this concept of, I've been using this for almost 25 years, saying this, that most guitar players' knowledge of tone stops at the guitar speaker. And most people don't put the time into translating. Well, how do you, if you're so worried about your tone, you should learn the other stuff, because that's how the rest of the world hears you. You know, if you really want to be on top of this, learn how your tone translates. I'm not saying go be a recording engineer, but learn the certain things of like, hey, you know, I know if I go to a gig and someone's got this mic, go, you got a 421, or look, it goes good right here, just put a little off axis, then you're okay. And then it doesn't look like a whole bunch of pain. But what I had to do was get the most tone out of the little pieces of gear I had. So that forced me to go, well, I've got this one mic. Where can it go to get the most tone out of it? So then I started figuring out, I literally had if I'm doing clean sounds, I actually liked it closer to the center of the speaker for a hi-fi clean. And if I got the more distortion I had, which means more harmonic content, more stuff, which sounds like high end up there, those all the harmonics, overtones, the more I pulled the mic back a little bit and pointed it towards the sort of edges of the speaker, off axis essentially. And that made a world of difference. That meant that one cabinet and one mic I had actually sounded like 3 or 4 different cabinets and mics. And then you go, well, now I have a condenser mic. What does this do? Oh, it listens to more of the speaker. So it doesn't matter how nice the gear you have. If you've got a closet, and who cares what's in it, suitcases, jackets, whatever, throw your amp in there and just experiment with the mic. And I always have one place I do start. If we look at a Celestion, you've got that center cap, the dust cap there. It's basically, that's the death zone, right? The center, that's all the high end you could ever want. And then you go to if I just move it to the edge, you've got woofiness and sort of this. So the thing is, the point kind of in here, if you can get that 57 sort of half on that line, the glue line, and sort of half on there, that's a good starting point for, okay, and then get it maybe at least 2 inches away off that grill cloth, 1 to 2 inches. Just start there. And just, okay, now you go, well, if I move right towards the center, more bright. If I move left, less bright, more bigness. If I move it back, more woofiness, because now you're getting some cabinet and some of these other effects that happen when you do that. A proximity effect is some other things that are going on. And that's that easy. And I've heard people turn in tracks and they're like, man, how'd you do that? Oh, it's just an amp in a closet, bro. For a year. And then you see that. And I think Rivera May still makes a silent system, which is basically a speaker inside a wooden box with a mic set. And a lot of bands, I think ZZ Top spent years, like his was just a box with a mic in it. And in that, you're missing some other things, but I would not be afraid of that to just get a small 112, buy a cheap 57, and you could get a lot of great sounds. Now, that's going to be dependent on if the sounds you're looking for mean you have to have an amp turned up, which is a whole different topic.
Yeah.
But in a world where I think people are still favoring clean platforms of like wanting to use their distortion pedals and the amp doesn't have to be that loud, that was one of the greatest things. And I did that off and on too for years. Just throw something in the closet, put a mic on it, and get it done. And I've seen ridiculous things in studios where you'd see them just basically make what looks like a fort at a studio. If they run out of ISO rooms, you basically take basically throw a bunch of packing blankets over something and put a mic in there, hide it. A lot of studios were doing that when they ran out of ISO booths. Just, put something to block it, throw packing blankets on it, and you're good. So I would say there's nothing wrong with experimenting, and it doesn't take a lot of money these days. Any computer can run, go buy I have a 1-channel Volt to keep in my backpack. Literally the one input tiny one. If you gave me a 57, that on my laptop with Luna, I could then just bust out my Lexicon 224, which I like hearing, and then mic any old amp, or even just use my Dream pedal. Or actually the system behind this rig right now is just the Dream plugin on 10 with a 224 on a bus. And that's enough for me to get an idea in there and to play and feel like, oh, there's pretty much my sound. And it doesn't take a whole lot. And I used to be more afraid of this stuff, but I think DAWs in general have become a lot easier to use. The fact that, you buy a Mac computer, it comes with GarageBand. Mm-hmm. And then when you outgrow that, go get Luna. If you want to do more crazy editing, some people are more on the DJ side. Maybe they're an Ableton person. They like to deal with loops, which is a whole different brain of doing that kind of thing. But for a guitar, man, you just basically can give me Luna and a Volt, and I'm pretty okay.
Yeah, so let's talk about some other key parts. I love what you said about like most guitar players' knowledge of their tone stops at the speaker cabinet, which is completely true. But you're right. Like that's only half of the equation. Yeah. And so what are some other, in terms of gear, we've talked about mic. I think everyone should have a 57, probably a pair of them, because they're cheap. You can hammer nails with it when you're not recording with it. It'll outlive all of us. But like, aside from that, there's so many options now with like recording interfaces and stuff. So what's like a good place to start for the at-home musician that wants to be able to record, maybe a stereo signal, 2 mics at once? Yeah. What else do you think they should invest in?
Oh man, if I was to pull back for a second, and I love preamps, and I have these lunch, I'm sure you guys have like these lunch boxes where you get like an API 512, 312, and Neve 1081, which I do it in my stuff for the office when we do mics. I use 1081s, which is the sort of 4-band version of 1070. So I have those, but the funny thing is, a mic into any old Apollo, you're hate to say you're 95% there, and I'm sure someone could maybe hear it, but it's like, are you going to really hear the difference between that Neve, which is running really clean, and then any other mic pre? You don't really hear a lot of this stuff. And I'm going to take crap for that, but I'm sure, because I hear it, I know it's there, but that shouldn't stop you from recording at home. The fact is that, I have to buy a $9,000 pair of Neves. That's a joke. That's ridiculous. Well, you don't need that to make music and get your guitar tone on the computer. So if you walk away from that, the most important thing is if you're doing like acoustics is one thing, because then you actually do need to get a pair of condensers.
Right.
So, and I remember spending all my money on my first Martin, the first nice acoustic ever, which I was already in my late 30s. I'm a shitty acoustic player. So I was like, I don't deserve one. I'm not good. I'm glad somebody else, because like I see all these Tommy Emmanuel.
Addison's good though.
Oh, it's always the quiet ones, right?
That's right.
He's saving us from embarrassment. We're not busting out some flamenco stuff. So that's one there, is learning the 2 mic trick of kind of one pointing at the neck, one sort of near the sound hole, having condensers, that hi-fi sound of pencil condensers. And they're not that expensive anymore. The fact is, and I always forget, like, our company makes all of this stuff now.
I was going to say, man, the UA ones are actually really good, and they're not crazy expensive. That's going to sound like we're, just pushing the stuff, but I really actually like them a lot. I've used them on a few sessions, and they're killer.
Yeah, they work great. I mean, you don't have to spend a ton of money on KM54s, KM84s, all of this stuff you see from unless you got money to go to Sunset Sound and be the next Keith Richards playing on that, but all that expensive stuff. The difference in quality it's there, but it's more about like, what can you do at home to get at least that general thing? Because one important thing is, and this is a weird one, is if you don't know how to mic something, how do you know that it sounds good, or how to even EQ that? Because that's the important part is, and I started realizing this, the more you start off with the right gear in the recording process, the more you don't actually have to mess with it. And you just go, if I put a 57 on this amp in the right spot, it can actually be flat, and it kind of sounds mostly there. And then it's up to the mix engineer. Well, maybe I should take some low end out. And I noticed that when I started learning how to mic drums, like if I use the right condensers as overheads, the right, D112 on the kick and 421s on the toms, they're already pre-EQ'd to just do the right thing for those pieces. Mm-hmm. And you do less work. So that's the thing is, when I've talked to somebody, they're like, man, I don't know if my guitar sounds good. Like, well, what did you use? Like, well, if you don't even know that mic, how do you know that's the right put that place to put the mic? So I found that if I start with the right gear, which has been proven by everybody else, oh, condensers for this, put these here. A 57, you can't hurt me. And I think everyone should have the 3 flavors of mics for their guitars. You need to have a great dynamic mic, which is now just a 57. If you can afford a nice ribbon mic, that could be a Beyer M160. If you got a little more money, go get a Royer 121. You know, there's also, if you got a little more money, go start looking at RCA, vintage classic ribbons, big ass things,
Dude, my favorite one is the AEA R92. It's a
AEA
little less expensive than the 121, and it's built for high SPL, high volume sources like guitar cabs. That's my favorite mic. That and a 57 I'm done.
Yeah, you can do anything with that. And yeah, it's having that. And I guess the last one is where we start spending a bit more money is, the sort of U67 types. And I'm not to say I'm not a U47 person, but unless you were at Abbey Road and that's what they had, I can't spend that kind of money for a 47 on a guitar. It's a vocal mic for me. But a 67 is on a lot of rock records. It could take the highest SPL. And again, unless you can spend. What are the tubes in a U47 are like $14,000. It's called a VF14.
What?
That one tube in that microphone, if it ever breaks on you, it's like a $10,000 to $14,000 tube in that microphone.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Somebody should check me on this, but yeah, I think it's VF14 is the model of that single weird tube in that U47, and it's a thing to find a new old stock one of those tubes. So don't go there. Don't. You don't need one of those. There's a lot of great. We make stuff here. There's a lot of stuff that's U67-esque, 47, Telefunken 250-esque, but you don't need it. The pencil condensers, and again, I would lean on for guitar. And I actually have the case here somewhere, which is that case has a bunch of old 57s, old 421s, 414.
Yeah.
And just I can tell you why. In fact, we should just go there. I'll tell you what the profiles. Okay, 57 doesn't have a lot of bottom end. It naturally has a low end roll off built into the mic, which means it never gets too tubby. It never kind of bottoms out, and that's built into the way they built the mic. There's a little transformer in the mic. So if you're really nerdy, some people used to take the transformer out of the 57s. Oh, have you done it, Zach?
Oh yeah.
Of course.
Before I had this, and before I could afford one of these, then I did that, and it sounds kind of like this.
Yeah, it can kind of because really these mics are fancier 57s, which no one talks about either.
They're big 57s.
Big 57s. Yeah. So thanks for making me seem normal that we're talking about that. Yeah. So,
dude, I'm a huge nerd for mics. I love microphones. They're one of my favorite things. So. Yes, 57.
I don't know anything about most of this stuff.
Actually, I in the locker here is my suitcase with the mics from Aux in it, the actual mics.
Oh, neat.
Sick.
So if we took a 2-minute pause, I could go unlock this door next to me, open the gray suitcase, and pull out the M160 from Aux and Dream and Enigmatic, the 414, the 421s.
You know what? Let's do that. It would be cool to just give everyone a quick sort of primer on the main food groups of microphones.
They're all. I forgot they're most of them are sitting in my suitcase here because I brought them over here.
Let's do it.
It's like imperfection. The light comes on.
Yeah.
And if we're talking about recording guitar, hell. Okay, we're gonna see what's in here.
Like bats fly out.
I know, right? Okay, so they're actually. So in this one, this is going to seem real. I've always talked about it, never shown it. Right?
I love show and tell stuff like this.
So these are my 2 main vintage 57s. One specific one, here wrapped up very carefully. Unidyne 3s, original ones.
Yeah.
One actually has a tag that says number 1 on it.
Nice.
What does that mean, number 1?
This is the SM57 in Aux.
Okay.
And the same SM57 that's in every one of our amp pedals.
That's awesome.
This is my favorite, best sounding 57. As a second, funny, this one looks newer and is almost mint. This is the spare to that one. Sometimes I will use once in a while. This one was bought yesterday, even though it's from the 70s.
That's so cool, man.
Man.
So these are the two main ones for that. And so that's here. There are other numbers on them, cataloged a little bit. I'm not that organized, but I do try to keep track of some things. This is cool. This is your mid-60s original case for the original Biodynamics.
Neat.
This is what they look like, and before they were black, the M160s. These are the original Tuchel with the West German tag on them.
Yeah, man.
M60, mid-60s M160s, that would have been the era when the Levy brakes and Hendrick stuff.
Whoa.
And you can see the jack on that's not XLR. That's a weird Tuchel connector. So yeah, you don't see them like this very often. But this is the M160 and aux in every other product we have. So when you pull up the Greenback 25 and Dream with the M160, that is this guy.
James, where did you acquire that one? If you don't mind me
actually
asking.
came. Oh yeah, no problem. This M160 actually came from West Germany. My friend Jürgen, one of the original distributor for Voodoo Lab. He used to host us at his house when we go to Mesa every year. He's a massive mic collector. And being a Euro mic collector, that's like having a car collection. He buys 47s and all of the massive telefucking stuff. And so for him, this is like, I bought a box of 47s for $100,000, but there were these things thrown on the bottom of the case. This is like fun time for him. So, and I said, dude, I really need an M160, but I want the original ones with the European connectors. So he had it made for me. So this is a modified Tuchel connector that then ends up at our XLR. You have to have these made now.
So cool.
Yeah, he sent me 2 of these. So I have a pair of these. But this is I call this one literally number 6 of the 2. The 6th one is the best sounding M160 I've ever heard in my life. And that's this one. Here are the 2 different, I think there's 2 of these in here. I use 2 different 421s. I do not use new ones. So these are 70s ones. These are they're called ULS. So that is the your standard black 421. Except later on they change the design a little bit and they're a little more hyped now. So if you buy a new one, the Mark IIs or whatever, they don't sound like the original ULS.
Am I correct in saying that grill, the mic grill, is not dinged up by drumsticks?
Thankfully, not this one. I have some other ones. I don't mind it; they get dinged up. But this one, once I sort of graded them and like, oh no, that's great for guitar. It never leaves its case for guitar.
Nice.
So that's this one here. I think there's another one. This is the 414. Same thing with the 414 is AKG eventually changed the design of the 414 and took the transformer out. So this is one of the last eras of 414s that still had the internal transformer.
So silver grill is internal transformer, and now the modern ones are gold or brass?
They're gold or brass, and I think, in fact, let's see here. Well, this might be a ULS version. Yeah. Anything you buy now is not going to have the transformer, unless they've changed that design. Yeah, this is the ULS one. So that the most important thing is the transformer, which is funny, which is why we talked about when Zach said, I took one out. The transformer does something, just shaves frequencies around. So I prefer to use the older ones.
Don't transformers protect it from phantom power as well if like you accidentally kick on the power?
Yeah, and that's that whole, if you look at the reason why Rupert Neve put transformers in all those consoles, it gets rid of hum, any, what they call galvanic isolation. It really gets rid of, crosstalk between ground planes and all that stuff. And yeah, considering that you do need to send phantom power to that, there you go. What else is in here? This is, I hope this is the right one. Means I didn't put together. It's another. I'm missing another one. So I have a pair of. This is the second. Oh, funny. So this has a tag. I must have liked this mic on the twin with JBLs. So whatever this did was more magic. So yeah, this is how weird I get. Like, this doesn't sound great on the Celestials, but on the JBL speakers, this one. So our JBL stuff was likely this one.
That's what's so fun about microphones, man. Like even cheap mics are still useful because they all kind of do a thing, and they're all unique, and you can just experiment, just try stuff. Like the worst thing that's going to happen is it doesn't sound good, in which case you just move it a little bit and then make it sound good.
Make it sound good.
Isn't it funny that every hobby, passion, like there's always a box somewhere full of stuff that someone's excited to open and show to all their friends.
Oh, dude.
Anyone else would be like, what is this person doing? But I love it.
Like, you're a psycho. Oh, God. Funny, in this same box is a little distance meter.
Oh, yeah.
So if I'm trying to measure where the room mics are back, I can actually sort of like put it exactly.
No, that's important. That's important, man.
You know, there's we'll talk about it. If you're miking stuff and you put room mics up, I don't like the mics. There's a 10-foot boundary for me usually, or 15 feet. If your room mics get too close to the source, then they just start combing against your actual direct mics.
Right.
So if I can get at least 10 feet away from my direct mics, you know, then you don't have such a weird phasey problem. But that's in this case too. And then, you know, again, I hate to say standard, but in your standard 121, that's the 121 in all of our stuff. And at the moment, the 67 is at UA headquarters. I also have our version of the Bach one, which I actually use here. That's at home because it did a saxophone session last night for Sheila, my wife.
Nice.
And I'm missing two mics in here. They're white 421s. If you ever watch old
the OG.
The OGs, I have those in my case at home. I think I was doing something at home with them because they're a little funkier. But I just remember seeing those. I thought they looked cool in that black and white footage with like the Who and Hendrix when they had them on all their stands.
I learned a few years ago that the 121, so I did a session in Germany back in 2021 at this amazing studio called Clouds Hill in Hamburg. And their mic collection is insane. But they had a Bang & Olufsen ribbon from the 50s maybe, and it looked like a 121, but kind of a more Jetsons era version. It looked like the what's the thing in Men in Black, the neuralizer. It looked like a neuralizer, but it was a chrome, looked like a R121, and Johan, the producer and the owner of the studio, was like, oh yeah, this is what Royer, I think, sort of based the 121 off of. And I didn't even know Bang & Olufsen made mics. I just know them as kind of like a hi-fi speaker company you see in like fancy cars and stuff.
Oh yeah. I've seen and David Royer's a trip, by the way. David Royer and Royer is actually like 20 minutes from us here in Burbank. So when I got this microphone, I went down and met with David Royer and those guys, and my friend Kevin used to work there. So yeah, Royer he's one of those dudes who he's seriously into this stuff, and just a trippy dude in general. So he's definitely a sort of mic, and so is I think it was Wes Dooley at the mic. Mm-hmm. There's all these mic guys. There's just like tube amp guys. There's the mic guys. Yeah. That stuff. Then you start learning about Gotham Audio. They were the importers of Telefunkens and EMT plates and all this stuff back in the day. It makes playing with guitars seem like a kindergartner thing because these guys are dealing in I spent $100,000 back in the day for this Lexicon reverb that was a robot with all these red knobs on it or the EMT reverb, the first digital reverb with some EMT.
This is the 250, right?
I think it's a 250, yeah. And I think George Benson had one. He might have spent like $12,000 on this thing.
It's like like a rolling cart thing, right?
It looks like a little robot, dude, with all these little red sliders on it. And then you realize all these guys back then who had money. I mean, I think one of the prime examples is probably Lindsey Buckingham. When he got tired of trying to do this with the band, watching him experiment, that dude would take the tapes home. He bought a 2-inch machine, a console, and was banging on stuff at home to do all these arrangements on his own time. And another early one was a guy named Todd Rundgren. So he would work in the studio all day and then take the tapes and keep working on them somewhere else. And, that level of recording at home, if you're a millionaire, great, I'll buy a 2-inch machine, I'll buy a console, and I'll keep working through the night,
Well, actually, that's a good segue into my next question here, because now you don't have to be a millionaire.
Right.
You need a good source, but in order to get recorded audio now, you don't need a 2-inch machine. You don't need a console. You don't need all this outboard gear and patch bay and everything. You need a good source, a couple of good mics, and a good interface. And this is the thing that I have seen a massive improvement in since I started recording guitar about 15, 17 years ago, whenever it was. I remember my first interface was a Focusrite Sapphire Pro 40. And it didn't sound great because around that time, 2010, 2011, like the budget USB or FireWire interfaces, like the converters and the preamps and those weren't that good. But nowadays with things like the Volt, for example, it sounds very, very good. Like the technology has improved so massively. So can you speak on that for a second? Like,
oh yeah,
modern interfaces and something for that more beginner focused player.
Yeah. I'll show you the pain point. Which funny, it comes back to guitar playing again. That original 2-input digital card, I think I spent $1,000 on it to get into my early DAW. When I finally, I think I'd come to LA just before I had moved here in the late 90s or something. I was hanging out with a guy named Dave Friedman, as in like Friedman amps. And he's like, man, I got this deal. There's another company making these converters. Because at the time it was just, Avid, or at the time, not even Avid, Digidesign. You bought an 888 were the original nasty 16-bit converters, the original OG ones. And he's like, man, I'm going to get one of these. So I want to record more stuff. It was the first time to get multi-channel through a converter box, which was a big deal. And this company's doesn't do this anymore. It was a company called M Audio.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, M Audio. They called it Delta 1010 back in the day. It was a very early, but it had these giant, almost SCSI-like connectors on them. It was a big hassle, but it was like, well, I can get 8 channels of audio in at one time and actually mic my whole drum set and get it. And then I had to buy a faster computer because the disk was too slow and then the memory ran out. And then it became a money pit. Like you can't just renovate the bathroom. Everything else started falling apart the minute we pulled the drywall off. But that I remember just thinking, I'm going to spend every cent I have just trying to do this. And I realize now, like I'm literally looking at this Volt 876 and all the stuff that you can do on a little laptop, thinking, man, I all the gear I did have to sell in trade to make those early things happen. It kind of makes me want to cry a little bit. That gear's never going to come back. But also the experience of what I learned is the reason that I don't feel so bad about it. And I feel so. I wish I was this kid now. Because again, I think I have a couple. There's another one. There's another Volt 2-input one. You don't even have to have the big. Like I have actually a large. There's 3 systems in this room actually. This laptop rig with the Volts, and across the whole here is the largest, biggest. It's 48 inputs of the highest end Apollos we make, with an X4 as a controller for the monitor on the thing. That's also hooked up to my Neve stuff and the Studer tape machines and everything. And it's like, yeah, but when I go home, I literally can just grab the Volt and plug it into the laptop, and it self-powers it. I don't even have a power supply hanging off the damn thing. That's the other thing. A lot of this stuff back then, I need to have this. I got to have faster hard drive. I got to have a CD burner. I got to have a big wall wart hanging off of things. And as much as I love linear power supplies, they do get into your guitar pickups.
Yeah.
So in fact, I have done this a whole bunch. I think I was doing some testing the other day on some plugins and stuff. And like I literally just grabbed my laptop on a Volt and I was out going to visit my wife on the road. And I did a bunch of work in a hotel room in Portland with a tiny Volt and a laptop. And it's like, I can do all of my guitar testing and listening and stuff here, and I'm thinking, man, this used to take a whole studio to do this kind of stuff. When was I ever going to have the money to pull up that Lexicon rack mount reverb and an 1176 and then print that on a track, but then keep the safety copy of it back in the day? I'm still kind of shocked, and we have to step away from it because we live in a world where, just buying pedals is cool because everybody makes cool pedals. You can go anywhere and find, if I buy this Volt thing, I get a laptop, plug it in, you can make music in like 5 minutes flat. I couldn't do that this morning because I'm a dummy and had a hard time with streaming audio mics without, loop back and whatever this fun stuff, which is a different problem to have as a podcaster or the audio. But as a musician, the fact that anyone else can grab a guitar, and here's the other thing, you know how much money I didn't have? I used to have to spend on buying a single reel of Ampex 456 quarter-inch tape.
Oh, yeah.
Just one reel. It's like, I don't have $32. Dude, I only made $40 on the gig.
Oh, it's even more expensive now, man. Like tape, you can still get it new. Like there's some great manufacturers still making it, but it ain't cheap.
It ain't cheap. And then all of a sudden, well, man, that tape isn't cheap either. And then that went away. And then, now we're just I can go down the street to any Target and buy a cheap hard drive, or go online and I think I have them all over the place. So even just that alone, to the media storage part of it, is you can make music now, take your song, and the fact that we can email it or Dropbox it to a friend across the United States and have them play something on or wherever in the world and comes back later. It's like a joke I heard one time, like, hey, what are you doing? I'm having a sandwich in the sky, bro. When you're in an airplane, you eat a sandwich in the sky. We take that for granted now,
Yeah.
Which is
the barrier to entry to do this stuff is so low.
Yeah.
And it's incredible because I have a Volt. I have a small, I think mine's a 4 input. And it's because all the other stuff is like it's screwed to racks and to the floor. Like I can't haul it. But that thing is my grab and go. If I ever need it in a pinch, it's there and it works. And like even because when you were getting the mics, I was saying how I was born, in the mid 80s and then grew up in the early 90s. And so like I feel like I'm kind of the last of the generation that kind of had to kind of just figure it out themselves. Like I had the internet, but barely. Okay. And it really like the process of learning how to do this stuff myself, because I was in a tiny town. No one played guitar except like me and like 2 other people. And my guitar teacher lent me like a Marantz 4-track cassette recorder, which was pretty fancy.
Yeah, that's nice, dude.
But even then, I didn't know that 2 of the tracks were on the other side of the tape when I was like going to play it back. And so, it was everything was just awful. And it wasn't really until I adopted the digital thing, which allowed me to actually get my ideas out. And even that took a long time because it's come so far since the late 90s, early 2000s.
Well, and I'm going to tack onto what you just said is, you're right, the barrier to entry to get into, but also there's another thing and I still love tape, but the scary thing about tape is there's a limited amount of time you can keep screwing with something on a piece of physical material, and if you're still working on an idea. Okay, I did hear this. This is a terrible story, but I think it's awesome. There was a guy named Richard Mullen, an engineer, who was mixing Stevie Ray Vaughan's In Step record at the same time he was trying to finish Eric Johnson's Ave Musicom. And apparently Stevie's like, hey, dude, we're going to New York and we got to finish mixing the record. And Eric was still working on a song called Highlandrons, which has this big flange thing. And what I was told was Richard set Eric up with a way to punch on the 2-inch. And for a couple of weeks, I think apparently he went and mixed Stevie's whole record, came back, and I think Eric was still working on that same section. Just trying to get the flanging right. And then you realize, because he'd built a home studio at that point and had the gear at home or in a facility. But the same guy came back like, you're still working on this same piece. So sometimes we have to get out of our own way because the fact that we have the gear at home, sometimes like, you don't want to keep burning in the same piece. So there's definitely a performance thing of like, this is going to sound terrible, is when we have the gear at home, then we get lazy. Oh, I can record anytime. So then maybe sometimes you get lazy and don't do it as much. As opposed to oh man, our band's going in at 10 a.m. And I'm sure, come on, Rhett, how many times have you done sessions at other places like, oh no, I got to get my stuff together, I got to get my parts together, at least get the muscle memory going, because you want to cut stuff once or twice, because now you're on tape, and you can't keep burning a hole, wasting everyone's time to fix a punch or an over. So there's definitely weird performance things. Maybe you play better on tape because of the stress to get it right, and the audience there kind of listening kind of vibe, as opposed to the relaxed part of, well, I can make up stuff freely. So I think that's my big mental battle, is recording at home and then finding the energy and drive to go, well, I can record at home, but you have to now go record, actually get up and record.
Yes. Yes. I am never more creative than when I am under a limitation or a deadline and I'm working with other people in another space, because then none of my sort of creative ruts or habits are available to me. And then, on the tape thing, I love tape machines. I'm kind of building a collection of tape machines. I've got a Tascam 388 right here. And what is this? Ampex ETR 700, not the 102, but
Wait, did you get the other machine that's at the 8-track in the giant deck itself?
Yeah.
I used one of those for a while. Holy crap.
Dude,
yeah.
The 388 is legendary piece of gear.
And yours works, right?
Yes. I actually just had it fully recapped. Power supply's been rebuilt. But that's the thing about tape machines. They're like boats.
Yep.
Like they kind of always need something. Every time you want to use it, like something's not quite right. You know, but there is that sort of magical thing to working on tape where you just commit. You have to commit because punching in is a massive pain in the ass. Editing is a massive pain in the ass. Yep. And you just sort of embrace the imperfection that you just don't have to do with a DAW. A DAW, you can just do take after take after take, and you have as many tracks as you want. But this 388, I did most of my EP on that. It's 8 tracks, 1/4 inch, reel-to-reel machine. And, you know, you just, I didn't quite get the end of that section right, but the rest of the take is good. It's got the energy, so we're moving on.
Right.
We're doing it, you know. If anyone here listening is tape curious, I highly recommend trying to find some kind of working tape machine and learning how that whole process works. It's magical.
It's magical. It's the same way of like, oh, I love a manual stick shift in a car. Well, once you go driving around San Francisco on all these little hills and then trying to sit up on a hill where you're going to try to get the clutch engaged, and it's all fun and games till the reality of like manual stick shift, tape. I mean, I could hurt myself with this thing. It's not terrible. But again, I think those are the mental things we have to get through of now that we can record at home. And honestly, all the gear I've worked on is trying to deliver the sounds of the classics, where I had basically a PV amp and like a crappy distortion plus. Like I can't sound like anybody with that gear. It forced me to try to work harder. And now that we have the stuff that we're delivering to people that they can sound like anything they want or to be creative, the trick is to how do you get into that mindset and go, okay, now I can actually create. And so I think sometimes that can be the challenge, because sometimes we just have to turn off our phones and pick up an instrument and try to create with these tools. Because sometimes, and I'll be honest, the same kick-ass computer that's got my lexicons on it sometimes also sends me a text because it's connected to my phone. And then I get out of that, I'm like, oh, okay, Mal, I don't know what I want for dinner. So then you're off and like, oh, let me just go, you know. And I hate to say that sometimes that's the plus and minus of having technology kind of all around us, is how do we use it for good and not for bad. There's nothing bad. I don't know if this makes any sense to anybody, but having the tools and getting them, and they go, well, now what? You know, how do I use this, and how do I get pumped up to use it? And I will just say this: I have no problem. I am motivated. Every day I get up, it's like, okay, what am I working on today? That's not like that for everybody. Sometimes, you know, sometimes, and I'll be honest, I've seen people like The Edge, and you realize these guys spend every week looking for new sounds, new gear, new tones, because that for them is what sparks them to write a song, a new sound.
Yeah.
So how do we keep the freshness and go, well, and somebody else was telling me too, there are a lot of people who will listen to whatever the top 100 songs are, top 10 songs this week, just looking for something to spark some motivation. Yeah. So again, we can give you the gear, we can give you the sounds, and then it's up to you to like, okay, now go do something cool. And I'm gonna just ramble on for another thing too. Is I've had friends who had really great recording setups, and then the pressure to, well, now I have to put something out. Oh no, I don't know if I want anybody to hear this. Who cares if anybody hears it? It should just be, if it's just for you, then just go write that experimental free jazz record and do it on your own time, and think of it as your meditative process after work. To just, you've got this creative thing and you just go do it, and who cares what anyone thinks? Doesn't matter what anyone thinks or if anyone hears it. You know, just go,
100%, dude.
It's okay to suck. I'm the suckiest person at some of these instruments, but I feel great after playing some shitty drums. Let's be honest, man.
Oh, man. And that's the thing. Like, I guess to kind of land the plane here, it's like to anyone who plays guitar or any other instrument, but you don't record yourself, you should start.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of fun. It'll reignite the passion and excitement because you'll be learning a new skill. It'll make you a better musician because you'll have to learn some of the technical side of stuff. It'll make you sound better, but it will also put you under that red light syndrome and get you used to like playing under pressure and to a metronome. And like, if for no other reason than to get better at your instrument, you should start recording yourself and learn how to do it well. Get a decent mic, get a good interface, go get a Volt or something like that. And, get a basic DAW and start learning how to record. And it, like your point, James, is perfect. You don't have to release it. No one ever has to hear this stuff. It can just live on a hard drive somewhere, but just get it out, get it down, and have fun.
And I'm going to back you up, Rhett, because most people don't think about this. And I think because even if you're shooting video and you're playing your instrument, we shot a video for stuff here at the office. And I had to play some examples. And I think I did a second pass at it. And somebody just goes, yeah, your first pass had a mistake, but it was more vibey. Because by the second pass, I had already internalized it and fixed what I think was doing wrong. And then it lost the momentum. Mm-hmm. And by the third pass, I sounded bored playing it. And sometimes you don't hear that until someone plays it. You're like, oh, you're right. There's a vibe to that one that you can't describe. That by the third one, you're like, oh, you really do just sound like you are rereading someone's text. It's not natural anymore. Mm. And that is true. You only hear that if you record yourself for a minute and sit back and actually maybe even take a day before you listen to it. Give yourself a second. And I'm going to triple down on this is if you're in a gigging band, just record the gigs. Don't listen to them immediately. Give yourself a little time. And sometimes it's the opposite. You go, oh man, that gig wasn't that bad. We actually sounded pretty good, which is weird to say that too. Because sometimes you think you played worse than you did.
Yep. 100%.
And I know these are all mind games we have to play with ourselves with the recorded medium, but it is weird. I heard a tape going, man, that was pretty good, but I remember thinking that band sucked and I wanted to quit. Why was I thinking that? Because and this is all. I think we're all going to end up in more therapy because of this. I'm not sure I'm helping anybody at this point.
I think that's what this is all about, man. Just get into therapy.
Just get into therapy and let it go. And I'm still all stoked to dip a rig if that's even still an option here, dude.
I got it.
Oh man,
queued up.
Oh no. Okay.
So I think you like this. This is not. We're not trying to get you with this one.
Oh no, that's okay.
So this is from our friend Pascal, I believe. Addison, I think that's the name of this gentleman. So we got a Fender Custom Shop 61 Strat, a Gibson 58 reissue 58. 58 reissue Junior. A Two Rock 10th anniversary, which is like a more aggressive TS1 apparently with a Fuchs cab. It's got a Jimi Hendrix fuzz face, a vintage Phase 90, Tomb Screamer Mini, Dry Bell Unit 67, Metropolis Super Boost, a Thorpe ER2. Man, there's a lot of stuff on this. Kingsley Alexander, the Polytune Mini, and then the Aux Stomp, because he's using his delays and reverbs post amp, and then
sick.
Torpedo to Aux to PA. He says.
Cool.
So
wait,
there's a lot going on here.
How? Okay, so he's
there's the torpedo up there on top of the.
Okay, so he's going. So all right, well let's cover the guitars first, and then we'll talk about how the signal's routed because I'm curious here. Strat, great.
Look good.
Cool.
Look good.
Yeah. In fact, there's one. Is it still sitting here?
Are you about to pull out a real one?
You're going to raise them.
Well, I think
cool custom shop. Here's a real 61.
Well, no, it's funny because I bet this guitar costs less than that custom shop does now, which is weird to say. But this is when I think you played this one, Rhett.
Oh yeah.
Road Worn.
This was I had this at Sunset Sound when we did that thing years ago. This is sort of my daily beat. So this is a 60. I'll beat the crap. Natural wear. And it's funny, I see those edge marks where you see that it kind of you get that lighter feel of it, all that stuff over there.
Yeah, dude. That guitar's a ringer. Hey, look, if you're ever looking to let it go, I will gladly pay less than whatever this custom shop costs for that 1960.
you know what's funny? There's about two other people that have come in and bonded with this one specific guitar.
It's a ringer, man.
It's a ringer. And I'm going to guess, and we're going to talk about dipping that guitar for a second. Is the one thing I bet that guitar, which is similar to this one, is I bet that guitar actually plays really well. This is the difference.
It better.
Yeah, it better. And because the thing, and this guitar I had to get new frets, get it plecked to get it to play right. And then the one nice thing is you get a guitar like that, it's got the mojo. It probably has perfect frets. There's nothing probably is dead on the neck. and as otherwise, you're kind of destroying the value when you have to do that to these. So
which is so dumb.
It's stupid. I don't care because I bought it, I broke it. Whatever. That's fine.
That's like buying a vintage, Porsche or something and putting tires and brake pads on it and then being like, oh, well, you ruined the value by making it drivable. Like,
yeah,
come on, man.
It's just like I wish I could get some of the. I want a Fiesta Ray custom shop one too. There was a Mike Lando one I thought looked really cool back a few years ago. So yeah, cool guitars. That's an awesome guitar.
Yeah.
Never seen a 58 double cut with a burst like that.
Yeah, me either.
Nice.
I'm used to yellow, man, with TV yellow on these things.
Or ebony or cherry or something. But that's cool. I love double cuts.
Yeah,
I
me
think
too.
they're great.
Beautiful. Love the amp, by the way, too. Can we zero it? Are there extra knobs on that amp? Am I seeing
the
that
10th
right?
anniversary. What? I don't.
So I'm not sure if this is a current Two Rock production. I wonder if this might be an older Premier Builders Guild or it's definitely not like a Bill Crenard, like K&M early era. But yeah, he says it's like a TS1, which is more the ODS thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I have one of those in this room, too, by the way. One of my amps I use for gigs is a TS1.
Oh,
the
TS1 Two Rock is that amp where you're thinking, this isn't going to be for me. And then you plug into it and you're like, oh, God.
You're like, oh, shit. This is
great.
It's really good.
Oh, and I'm going to confess, I think me and this dude would bond because I like where he's going with all this stuff. Is unfortunately, the TS1 fortunately, I asked Eli at Two Rock and he made me a 4.6V6 version of the TS1.
Oh.
Which is because I wanted it to be like a more powerful deluxe version.
Right.
So in my brain, it's sort of a double deluxe power section.
It's a 40-20.
Yeah, so that's what I have in mind because I wanted it to break up a little bit, and so that was there's actually two other TS of those circuits. So I like his amp choice, killer.
Yes.
He's on fire.
Yeah. So a Fuchs cab, but then there's the pedal board. So we've got the blue Hendrix reissue fuzz face down there.
That's a great fuzz. I have one of those too. That's a really great. George Strips did that. Great job on that.
Yeah.
Why in God's name haven't they swapped the input and output jacks on these things?
Oh, right. I know.
It drives me crazy.
I have one back there too. Yeah, I know. I totally get it. And so is it plugged in first? Where is it in the signal
It's
path?
gotta be, right?
Yeah, because the input's empty. So I bet he's going guitar into this.
Cool.
And then I think it's going into the vintage Phase 90.
Cool.
And then the TS Mini up here. The Dry Bell Unit 67, I guess that's like a...
That's a Univibe, right? Is that the Univibe one?
I don't know. I don't know that pedal at all.
That's a boost in a compressor. I'm almost certain.
Oh, yeah. I thought they made a Univibe too, though, or maybe I'm
They do.
Because somebody told me the Univibe thing is supposed to be really good from them.
And then the Metropolis Super Boost. I don't know if that's like a tone bender or something, but it's a Metropolis pedal. They make killer Marshall style amps.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then the Thorpe. Some of this stuff, like I'm not really familiar with this in the Alexander, but I mean, I don't know. It's all great. And then you have your delays and your reverbs coming out of the
Oh,
aux
okay.
there,
I was going to ask. So that's how they're doing it, right? Like,
I think so.
Because I don't see any delays or reverbs on the board, but the aux, like the full fat big boy aux, has the 1176, a plate, and then what's the delay in there? Is it a
It's
like
a
2290?
It's more on the high end, so it can kind of do all of that because we put the high and low cut filters on there. So
Yeah.
so it's sort of can kind of roll your own type of delay with more things. So it's unfortunately meant that I just had to write those sounds in the preset because I think a lot of times the more controls you have, the less fun it is when you're just trying to dial up a sound as opposed to just turn on the memory man and it kind of is what it is.
Yep.
Or a carbon copy, even easier. Like, it's the sound of that in a tiny little box, But no. I mean, this is a great rig, and the only thing I'm thinking now is I love the portability of the cab. Is it a 112? Do we know what's in there?
It looks like you can see it kind of,
or 210.
You can see it here.
It's oddly sized if it's a 112.
Let's see. Let me
you're
check his
right.
email.
I wonder if it's ported. If it's a 112 down at the bottom with a port. On the
It's a
top?
212.
Oh, it is.
Oh shit!
There must be one here and here.
Yeah.
That's wild. It doesn't look like it.
It's a trick of the eye.
Yeah.
Dude, okay. I really like this rig a lot. I really like that he's using delays and reverbs post amp. That's super cool. Guitars are great. Would be cool to have a humbucker in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Throw a 335 in there. I think a 335 would round this out very nicely. pedals wise, I think we got too much gain going on because, dude, with that amp, if it's like a TS1, that's all the gain you need. Put a good boost in front of it and the fuzz. True. That's everything you need. Nothing you don't. I'd like a something modulation.
Yes,
other than the Phase 90, but
the Thorpe is a univibe.
Oh, so yeah, okay. Okay. All right.
So, I mean, phaser.
That's kind of two phasers, right?
Is the phaser.
He's got a double, 4-stage phaser. And he's kind of double phasing where I think I'm with Rhett. I feel like I want something fake Leslie wobbly. Vibrato or something like that.
I want wobbly, which, obviously the Univibe can do. I think we're doubled up a little too much here. There's too much redundancy. Otherwise, I got to give this a 8.3.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, out of 10, James, what would you think about this thing? What would you give it? And you don't have to don't worry, you're not going to hurt anybody's feelings.
Don't be nice. Be honest.
No. I'm looking at his pedal board thinking, man, it's so well organized and it's in a nice little road case, and he's got again, at least classic fuzz. Again, I don't know the other overdrives, some of the ones on there, but a tube screamer and a fuzz is pretty much mostly there, except for what I would consider having something that's a smoother overdrive. So I don't know if that other overdrive is doing that.
I think this is another overdrive.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a boost. There's a lot of gain staging on here.
I just don't know what they are. Yeah, because I try to categorize from light boost to kind of mid-range overdriven to distortion, where sometimes I like the smoother distortions, like that David Gilmour tube driver EJ kind of smooth. So I have one that's smoother, and I'm going to assume one of those is probably doing that in there, maybe. And then on top of the 2-rock gain staging, because he's got the switch on there, so he's probably able to do the preamp boost lift. And then the actual distortion channel. So, I mean, this dude's got a nicer rig than I have. My crap's all over the place. This dude is a solid 9. If I walked into a guy, like, this guy's organized, and he obviously has an ear for tone, and probably spends more time researching pedals. I don't know those other pedals. So I don't
either.
I'm at a loss.
This has kind of got a That Pedal Show pedal board sort of vibe for me. Yeah. If it were me, I would probably, I might lose some gain staging, and then I spied. Look at that. The RDX analog man right there. You throw that guy down here.
Yeah. You know what? I don't see. I actually always have a slap on a little slap delay somewhere.
That's what I'm saying. We just need a little which you could be doing post amp, but it's something in front of the amp is nice. I think something wobbly or something time based in front of the amplifier would be good here.
I think I'm going to give it a solid 9 as well.
Well, can we stock his shelf again? What's to the right? Is it a GE10 Boss? What's over there?
Yeah, I think so. There's a DS1 back here, and then there's the
he's got the DS1. Good catch. Yeah, behind it.
Wait, what's up there with the headphones plugged in? Is that just like a headphone amp?
Oh yeah, that is a G10.
Also, what are you reading? Let's see, Pascal. What are you into here?
Case.
Yeah.
Oh, is that like a headphone amp?
It's a nice capo, actually. Those are like those capos a lot. Yeah.
Dude reads books. This guy's
Ghost Rider.
Man, this guy's smart. Holy crap, dude.
Well, Solfege, he's been doing some theory, some work.
Yeah.
Hey, Pascal. Good work, man.
We've stocked him enough, I think.
He's on. No, that dude looks like a fun hang. He's a lot smarter than I am.
Oh man,
James, this has been great, dude. Thank you so much once again for coming on and sharing some expertise and story time with us. It's been awesome.
Of course. Again, I feel like I've confused things even more for a second time now, which means we'll have to do a third pass to clarify all the bad things I said in version 1 and 2 of what we've done here.
Hey man, if Fast and Furious can make as many movies as they have in their time, we can have you on to just continue to muddy the waters for us.
2 James, 2 Santiago.
Yeah, it's just well. I will tell you, I have a friend who calls me Saint James, because apparently my last name also means Saint James, and my name is James, so it's a very Spinal Tappy thing. Oh, what is that? Holy crap! Did that just come out of
comment?
Oh
Matthew
God!
Here in the Patreon chat. Also, hey, excited to get MIDI in my Golden. Thanks to the UA team for that. Yeah, you want to touch on that real quick?
I forgot.
MIDI in the amp pedals.
Yeah. And in fact, I forgot. We're actually live with a bunch of people watching, right? I forgot about that. So I apologize to anyone who I might have accidentally offended if I said bad things about your favorite piece of gear.
I don't think you did.
Or go for it. Ask me anything. So yeah. In fact, I should clarify. I my good buddy Tor Mogensen, who ended up moving on from the company, but that was one of the battles, was how to get these pedals out, and then hopefully we were thinking about it would be great to get MIDI in. It's not like we didn't want to, but it was quite a bit of a challenge to do that, and so that we had I'll clarify this even more. The internal team that worked on some of those pedals, they did it as a challenge for fun and figured it out.
Oh, that's cool.
Because we all wanted it. It's like, well, let's just see. They called them I hope I don't get in trouble from the office, but sometimes they call them hackathons. Like, hey, what if you just hacked something together for fun? And what could you do if you had some fun ideas for our own products? And our guys, Chris Howe and Doug Reckonall, Doug Wright and Will Reckonall. Sorry, I've not had breakfast yet, so I think it's an issue with that. Yeah, those guys just one day like, dude, we got USB-C MIDI working. And I'm like, okay, now you got to go tell the rest of the company that we need to put this out and not charge a single dollar for it, because people should have this. We don't want it. And it made me really proud to work here to see these guys just do it out of the love for wanting to make the products better. And I think any one of us, in fact, I have one here. I bought a Morningstar MIDI, one of them fancy MCA.
Those things are awesome.
Oh my God, dude! I had to actually read the manual to learn how to program that thing.
Yeah, but they're so powerful.
Super powerful.
Really cool.
Yeah, so I read the manual. I'm like, wow, I can do CCs on this and turn this on, change colors on things, and on USB-C to cable from that to USB-C to pedal. So I'm not even using MIDI cables anymore. I was like, wow, we actually got this working. So
it's amazing, dude.
So I'm super stoked because. Like for somebody who's an Enigmatic fan, now you can get yourself a little 4-button controller and literally go through all of or make 4 different dumbbells, or make the same dumbbell turn on the preamp boost. Like our buddy there on the foot switch, turn on the overdrive, turn on the preamp boost. Actually have all those switchable. So it's a brand new world again. And I know there's some people who are probably pissed off. And I'm sorry, I can come cut your lawn for you badly. I don't know what I can do to resolve this.
No, I don't think anybody's pissed off, man. It's great. So, dude, thanks again. I think next episode we'll have to figure out, maybe we talk Japanese guitar stuff, so we can go for like the Tokyo Drift angle if we're going to continue with this Fast and Furious.
Well, in fact, we're going to go there for a second, and I'll tease.
You got an RG back there? What do you got?
No, because actually, the first Stratocaster I ever had, this is going to tell you how long I keep things, which I actually used this in the video. This is one of the earliest Japanese-made Fender Squiers, those early 80s Squiers, the very first ones. Yeah. And I still use it. It was a big headstock one that I couldn't stand, so I learned how to cover it. I wanted it to be the small headstock, and I cut it when I was a kid. But it is that, and it had a 3-bolt, which I then turned into a 4-bolt.
Nice.
And that
narrow. And
I stole that off an 80s Kramer. That's a Kramer 4-bolt neck plate. But I still use this guitar, and people pick up like, what is it? It's the old early Japanese stuff, which was amazing. And this was my first Stratocaster. It was white, and then it turned black, and then it turned this color. Because I had no money. And then I saw a black Strat. I'm like, I want a black Strat. And I painted it black one day in the backyard.
I also have an early Japanese Squire Strat that has also ended up that exact color.
Dude, this is great. And this was done in the early 90s. A friend was painting a boat. He's like, dude, your black looks ugly. Because I spray painted it black. And I'm like, I didn't know you were.
Damn, dude.
Yeah, he's like, give me your guitar and I'll paint it this color. And it's stayed this boat sonic bluish color for years. But the black is kind of poking out because we never took the black off of it.
I like it.
And it's got flat wounds, by the way, which is kind of fun for slide and doing some other fun stuff. So yeah, this is the weirdness of like, yeah, I pulled out an old 60 Strat, but you know what I played for 2 hours a day? An early Japanese Strat I've had since I was 14, dude. Who cares?
Yeah, man.
That's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, James, we'll see you soon.
Yes. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, dude.
Okay, Zach from the future here, and I'm excited to announce the winner of the Universal Audio Dipped in Tone amp emulator pedal giveaway. The winner is Christian P. Christian, we're going to send you an email. Congratulations, you get to pick the amp emulator of your choice so you can start making music with it. Everybody who entered, we appreciate it. We really appreciate you being part of the show, being part of this giveaway, and hopefully we'll be doing more of these. All right, back to the show.
I honestly love having James on. He's probably my favorite guest that we've had. Him and Eli are my two favorite people. We need to get Eli back on too, actually.
Yeah. I like when Paul Reed Smith berated you for not buying the Marshall you said.
Yeah. The vintage Marshall that was was like $8,000 or something like that.
Yeah, he's like, you must not want it very much.
Well,
like,
I didn't. Sorry, Paul, I didn't want it. Sue me.
Anyway, yeah, that was great.
Awesome. So once again, thanks to Universal Audio for sponsoring today's video. Check out the Volt 876. Also, Luna 2.0 just dropped with some major new features like hardware insert support. What was it? What else, Addison? We were looking at it earlier.
Yeah, they support like ARA stuff now, so you can run Melodyne inside of it, and then I believe it's called Dynassist as well. So for mixers and editors and all kinds of, creative people, you can use those tools to make your mixes and your production sound better.
Yeah, the hardware insert support's a big feature, big add-on too. So check all that stuff out. Also get entered to win the Volt 876 that we're giving away in partnership with Universal Audio. Links and everything are in the description or the show notes if you're listening. Also, we've had some people like commenting about some of the shows not being available on the streaming platforms. We're working on that.
Yeah.
Like getting fixed.
Like, shifting hosts has been a bit of a nightmare, but
Listen,
we're going to get it done.
You start a podcast, okay, and then try and figure out how to get all this shit working and talking to all the other shit that needs to talk to. It's not easy. You think it would be easy in 2025. People have been doing podcasts for almost 2 decades now at this point. Like, yeah. Anyways,
man,
it's going to get back and fixed pretty soon. So
yes,
we appreciate your patience.
And we really appreciate all of our patrons over on Patreon. If you want to learn about supporting the show and getting access to our bonus episodes and getting shows early when they're not under NDA.
Which isn't that often.
Definitely not. But yeah there's been an outlier. Then click the link and check out the patron and the community over there. Yep. Awesome. Okay. You want to shill? I do. And this one I think you will really like. So I don't think I've told you about this. Maybe someone else has. My shill is the Shaftesbury Duo Fuzz, and I have 2 of them here from my friends in the UK. So this is a copy of the Duo Fuzz. This was a Rose Morris fuzz. I'm pretty sure it's like a what's the Live at Leeds fuzz? I don't know. It's the it's the Octafuzz thing that has like the big. You guys know what I'm talking about. Oh, Super Fuzz? A Super Fuzz, yeah. It's kind of like that. Has 2 different tones. That's like big shifts in tone, but heavy duty. This one is like hefty. It's got a battery door on the side. Yeah, dude. I love an impractical fuzz enclosure. There's something about it. And then here's a practical one, the little mini guy. So same circuit. Same circuit. Doesn't sound as good though. Not as cool enclosure. It's just slightly different. I mean, like to be fair, the circuit board inside this is probably just this big. No, it doesn't sound the same. I can just tell. I can just tell. Doesn't sound the same. All made in the UK, and they sound awesome. So this is something that we've been messing with. And Rhett, I need to. I love the logo. I love that typeface on there. It's so sick. Yeah, it's super 60s. And just nothing else on the box. Just like it's a place for fingerprinting. It's a doorstop and place for the rest of your foot to go when you're stepping on it. Yeah. That's awesome. Mine is not fun musical stuff, but still practical, and I'm really stoked on it. I bought this the other day. Oh. An Anchor like wall wart. Yeah. 140 watt output with a like OLED screen on it that will tell you, it's got 4 different outputs here, and it'll tell you like all kinds of stats about like how much power draw, the temperature of all this kind of stuff. Because I'm going to be traveling a lot more next year, I'm starting to buy some shit like this that will just be nice to have. Like I don't have to bring my laptop charger now. I don't have to bring, this one wall wart will basically power everything that I need to. Like I've got the Toneverk here, the Electron Toneverk, which is amazing, but it's now USB-C, like power input. And so I can run it off of this. I don't have to bring the Electron like power supply thing, which is, the long cable with the box and the whole shit on it. So they make a battery as well that's kind of in the same thing that I think I'm going to get. It's like a 25,000 milliamp hour battery in a pretty relatively small package. Anchor 140 watt. Yeah, I think I have a 90 watt one, like an older one. And it's great. Never given me a moment's worry. And Yeah, they're awesome. So I can only imagine how fast you could like charge your, phone or laptop with that thing.
I wanted to like test it out the other day. So I plugged in my laptop, which was almost dead, my iPad, which was dead, my phone, and I think I had something else, like my watch and everything. And it was only drawing, I think, at 120 something watts. Yeah, there you go.
Everybody needs those things. And it's so hard to know which one's a good one.
But yeah, I mean, seriously, obviously not sponsored. I like the Anchor stuff.
I do too.
I've had their power bricks, their batteries for a long time, and they still work and they're great. So yeah, there you go.
Good stuff.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for hanging, everyone. I know today was a longer episode, but that's what happens when you get the legendary James Santiago on with you. So we'll be back to regularly scheduled stuff next week. Subscribe, leave a review, do all the things, join the Patreon, and yeah, we'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.